Welcome, class, to Lesson 7-11. Today, strong mathematicians can read, write, and model decimals greater than 1. Take out your notebook, your pencil, write down today's date, the name of the lesson, and let's belly flop right into this information. As you know from our notes, you know about decimal numbers and decimal points. This is a good review. If you need to pause and need to read this as a refresher, that's great to keep up to date with the vocabulary words that we keep seeing to help us grow as mathematicians. A tenth, a hundredth, and thousandths, just what they are as a decimal and a fraction, and how they relate to each other. And now right into today's lesson. We're going to read and write each mixed number as a decimal. So now we're taking that next step, going to not just fractions, but mixed numbers as well. So to start, look at this one. I just say things got 4 and 5 tenths, right? That's what I said. I almost said hundredths. That's not right. It's 4 and 5 tenths. So 4, any numbers that I say first that are whole numbers, they would come before the decimal. And now 5 tenths would be, the tenths place value is right there. So 4 and 5 tenths would look like 4.5 as a decimal. 17 and 5 100ths. So I have 17. I understand the period as and 5 hundredths. That's like 5 pennies. So I put not in the tenths place value, but in the hundredths place value because I have 5 hundredths. And the last one, 9 and 3 tenths. So there's my 9 and 3 tenths. This is my tenths place value, so 9.3. So you can pause the video and write down that information to help you out with those mixed numbers as decimals. And if you want to even give it a shot, try to write these decimals right now as mixed numbers before I do and see if your answers are correct. And here we go. 13 and 7 tenths. So we'd have 13 and 7 tenths. So 7 over 10. We have 4 and 85 hundredths. So 4 and 85 hundredths. One good thing to keep in mind is you just kind of think about that last place value, and that's the one you're going to talk about in your word form, right? I wouldn't say 4 and 8 tenths 5 hundredths. I just think of them all as hundredths, so I would say 85 hundredths. And the next two, we have 248 and 4 hundredths. So 248 and 4 hundredths. 50 and 7 tenths. So 50 and 7 tenths. So you can pause the video right now. Hopefully your answers matched mine. If not, hopefully in looking about that and listening through them, you help be able to find your own mistakes to help you better understand writing decimals as mixed numbers. We're going to write each word name, then write the decimal for each word name. So now these are going to be some numbers. It's a big number, so I'm going to go back to our same strategy we had in the last unit. I'm going to stop and write them as fractions first. Because I think if I see the fraction first, it helps me more and a little easier than just writing the decimal. I feel I can catch any mistakes I might have by doing that fraction part first. So 73 hundredths. So I know I have hundredths. And I read again, 73 hundredths, 73. Now I'm going to write that as a decimal. So that decimal would be, there's no holes, and 73 hundredths. The next one, 45 and 14 hundredths. So 45 and, so I'm going to start with my 45, and, I think of the decimal point, 14 hundredths. 45 and 14 hundredths. Oh, then I just jumped the gun. I should write my decimal out first. I'm thinking, what is that? Right? So 45 and 14 hundredths equals 45 and 14 hundredths. The next one, 60 and 3 hundredths. 60 and 3 hundredths. So I have 60 and 3 hundredths. This one's usually the way I like to write the fraction of, because this is one, or the mixed number, because this is one that a lot of people usually will mess up on because they put the 3 in the wrong place value. So I have 60 and 3 hundredths, so nothing in the tenths, and a 3 in the hundredths. A lot of times people like to put that 3 in the tenths, and that's not the right one. Our next category, going back to way back when, I think in chapter 1 about expanded form. So we'll do a little bit of expanded form right now. It says write each decimal in expanded form. So what does expanded form mean? That means you're taking each place value by itself and adding them with the other place values to get a full answer. So 5 is in the 10, so it would be 50. Plus, now we have 2 in the ones. So that would give us 52, and there's our 52. Plus, we now have 7 tenths, so 0.7. Plus, here's the hardest one, the hundredths. We have 7 hundredths, so that means 0.07. Like I had 7 pennies. So now when I put all of those numbers together, I would get the answer of 52 and 77 hundredths. Take a shot, pause the video, give it a try for 183 and 6 hundredths and 209 and 84 hundredths. See if you can write those in expanded form right now. And here we go. So 183, well, 100, that's the hundredths place value. So check on that one. Plus the 8 is in the tens place value. Plus the 3 is in the ones place value. So far, so good. And now I have nothing in my tens place value. So I don't necessarily have to write this, but I like to say I have 0 tens. That way it keeps me on track. And now I have 6 hundredths, like I have 6 pennies. So it'd be 0.06. And that would be how you would write out 183 and 6 hundredths in expanded form. Do you have to write the 0.0 in the tenths? You do not have to, but I like to because I know I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 place values, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers written. I have 209 and 84 hundredths. So I have 200 plus I have nothing in my tens place value. So I can put 2 zeros. I don't have to. I'm doing it because that holds my tens place value. And then my 9 in the ones. Now for my tens, I've got the 8. So it would be like I had 8 dimes, which would be 0.8. Plus, I have 4 in the hundreds. So it's like having 4 pennies, which would be 0.04. So you write down those numbers and also write down them in expanded form. So like the whole thing written down so you made that connection of this number right here equals this number in expanded form. So you can pause the video, write these notes down right now to help you out. Box 2, another one. There are 100 centimeters in a 1 meter. Who wants to bring back King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk? A snake crawls 6 meters and 17 more centimeters. What decimal represents the number of meters the snake crawls? So we see right here is this relationship that we talked about way back in chapter 5. It says 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. I don't know if I wrote that, so I'm going to erase it right now. It should be this way. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So in order it says what represents the number of meters the snake crawls, what decimal? Well, he crawls 6 meters, so that would be 6 whole meters. He then crawls 17 more centimeters. So 17 is not a full meter, it's part of a meter. So it would be 17 over, what would it be over? Well, it would be over 100 because 100 centimeters equals a meter. So this would be the fraction, but they don't want it as a fraction, they want it as a decimal. So we're going to take this number right here and turn it into a decimal of 6.17. Because why? The 6 is the whole amount of meters. 17 centimeters is part of the whole meter. So you can pause the video right now and write down those two fraction and the decimal to see how those two are connected. And now it's your turn. So draw a big line across your page. Put box 3, put some smiley faces to help you out. And now you're going to write each of these mixed number as a decimal. 6 and 2 tenths, 24 and 8 hundredths, and 3 and 9 tenths. Remember, as you're writing them down, make sure you say them out loud to help you with the writing process. And the same thing, write each of those decimals as a mixed number. So I'm going to save that for you to say those out loud to help you write those down as mixed numbers. So you can pause the video, do this page right now. And on this page, we have write each word name, then write them in decimal form for each word name. Remember, if you want to stop from words to fractions before you get to decimals, that would be great if it helps you out. And then also on the bottom, you can make sure you write those in expanded form. So start with the number, and then show me how you blew it up into each of its own place values being added together. So you can pause the video and do this page right now. And last but not least, there are 100 pennies in a dollar. A jar contains $20. You add 8 pennies to the jar. What decimal represents the number of dollars in the jar? So you can reread the problem again, you can picture it, and then good luck. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to write them down or share them out. Also, if you have any strategies that you use to help you, you can share those as well. And thanks again for another great lesson.